This is Winging It, the somewhat whimsical, certainly whirring, decidedly wonky, seldom weighty, endlessly well-intentioned, and wildly witty show about music where one knows what's coming and the other doesn't. And this happens in between both proper to ensure you can spend a whole fuckload of time with us. So now the big reveal. What will we be talking about today? So we're going to be talking about the top 10 honorific nicknames in popular music. So I will start with number 10. And you may be able to add some of these. So, Queen of Country. Who do you think holds that title currently? Queen of Country. And maybe we'll talk about who should have that title and who has it.
Is this honorific? Okay. Queen of Country. And you know, there's so many contenders for that. And I never was that big a country fan. And I'm really anything but a fan of country, modern country. But there are a lot of great artists. And there are so many that come to mind. I mean, was it Loretta Lynn? Was it, are people thinking slightly more contemporary and going to say Reba McEntire? Are they going to say Dolly Parton? Are they going to say there are a number of artists there who could?
Wrong.
And it's none of those.
It should be Dolly to me, but it is actually Shania Twain.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Shania Twain's albums have sold into the millions, and she brought country music to the forefront again. She definitely is the queen of country. She's one of the reasons Taylor Swift became a singer. That's what some say. So, again, whether this is one of those top 10s list where people vote it up or vote it down, well, that's actually ranking, but I know that people are voting and saying lots of things about these particular selections. So
I'm just thinking it is more pop, it is crossover and everything, but, you know, she's certainly something like a queen, you know, of something.
So what about metal gods? Who do you believe are the current reigning metal gods?
Current reigning, as in not that they're working today, but what the current list says. I assume that's what it means.
The current reigning metal gods. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily current. It's just they have the title
of the ranking now. Not that they're out there. Okay,
they might be out there.
Yeah, of course they might be. Metal gods. You know, people always go Black Sabbath, and everything. That is a tough one. I'm gonna go with Black Sabbath. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Black Sabbath.
They disagree and say it's Judas Priest.
Okay.
They said they even have a song called Metal Gods. So, again, whether or not you agree with these, very interesting. I would say to me, Metal Gods are like Metallica, but that's just me. Depends on what you consider a god, and I think your frame of reference. But I think these are some, they go way back.
And I don't call Black Sabbath heavy metal, but everybody else does, so that's why I was going for what the ranking likely was. But yeah, Priest also still together. That makes sense, All
right, I think this one's going to be pretty easy. Queen of Soul.
Oh. A certain Steely Dan lyric comes to mind now and saying something about Aretha Franklin. But it might not be because of, the contemporary nature of the voting bloc, perhaps. Shania Twain, so let me think. I'm still gonna go with Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, definitely Aretha Franklin. Absolutely, I think 100%. So, people are saying no one's ever been as good as she is, or pardon me, she was.
A victory for the dinos.
May she rest in peace. Everyone's saying she's always going to be the Queen of Soul. There's no one better. Of course, other people are doing contenders like, Whitney Houston, who's amazing, but she was definitely not. So the Queen of Soul is forever going to be the amazing Aretha Franklin's. What about the Fab Four?
What about the Fab Four? I don't think I understand.
It's an honorific nickname.
Okay. Well, there's only been one. Okay, because the other ones are arguable, but there only was one group ever called the Fab Four. Of course, the Beatles. So yeah, that's. I'm sure nobody's feeling contentious about that one.
I don't think so. But it's I do think there maybe are other fabulous fours, but they're not the Fab Four. This is there, but I can think of lots of bands with four. You might have said at one point maybe the Eagles. I would disagree vehemently, but it could be fabulous. Any band that has four people could be considered fabulous, but these are the Fab Four. So I don't think anyone's is a contender in that space. What about What about the Queen of Pop?
Oh, that is Queen of Pop. Honestly, if I think of who in my mind would deserve a title like that, it would probably be Madonna.
Yeah. Madonna.
Oh, yeah.
The only one there ever was, and the only one who truly deserves to be the Queen of Pop. Madonna has been around for 3-ish decades, sold more than 360 million records worldwide, left a legacy that is unmatched by any artist, male, female, or band. She writes her own songs, composes her own music, invents her own dance moves, has innovative music, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is what some people are saying. However, we know that there are other male artists who have outsold her, potentially, but she is one of the greats, and I definitely think she is the Queen of Pop. What about the King of Rock and Roll?
Well, we know what people are going to say, and I don't have a big beef with calling Elvis Presley the King of Rock and Roll, even though I would give it to one of the architects like Chuck Berry or Little Richard or something like that. But I mean, as a song stylist and as a vehicle to bring, I mean, all right, he wasn't a big writer or anything, but he was a stylist,
He wasn't a writer.
He was a vocalist that was absolutely superb. And, it doesn't hurt that he had a huge personality, the charm factor like the Beatles, but the music does bear that. In the Beatles' case, it was their music, but in Elvis' case, he did do something. He was an arranger, he was a band leader, and he was a musician himself. So, I don't personally think he deserves to be called the King of Rock and Roll, but, that's what the list would say.
Yeah, it does say that, and I disagree with it. I don't think he's the king of rock and roll.
No.
I mean, to me,
and I love Elvis too.
To be the king of something, you have to write your own stuff, and he didn't write his own stuff. He brought his good looks, and he brought his dance moves, and this beautiful voice. Okay, great, but there's so many other people to me who are deserving of that title.
He really wouldn't have had anything to sing if somebody didn't write songs for him. I mean, this is where I get really miffed when people bestow titles on Ozzy Osbourne, because he's not the king of anything, and Elvis really isn't, as great as he is, and I'm a big fan too. So,
yeah, people are saying here Chuck Berry is the king of rock and roll.
I would say so, yeah.
But other people are like, he's the father of rock and roll. I'm sorry, King is the father.
Yeah,
so he is. To me, that's who should be here. Elvis Presley. I mean, better eye candy, but again, just honestly, what Chuck Berry did, I always felt like he kind of got overlooked, even though he was just the pioneer of so many things. And
everybody, absolutely everybody, Elvis, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, absolutely everybody did Chuck Berry songs because that is rock and roll. It's in its purest distillation. I mean, that is the seminal, unshakable foundation of rock and roll. So yeah, I mean, Chuck Berry really is the one, but I knew what the list would say.
What about the Princess of Pop?
Oh, the Princess of Pop. For some reason, somebody leapt to mind, and I would have said at one point Britney Spears, but I've never heard Taylor Swift called this, but to me, she is undisputably that.
So the list says Britney Spears, and I do think if we go back
I knew it.
20 years, it might be Britney Spears, but I think it's been Taylor Swift for a long time now, and certainly after the Eras tour, it's Taylor Swift. Now, if I don't think most of these honorific titles or nicknames apply to most of these people. There are some like, the King of Pop, King of, the Queen of Soul, all those things that are, they're just synonymous with that person. I don't think this is. I think this changes.
Yeah, like nobody really is a Prince of Pop now, or a King of Pop now. I don't think. Nobody's given that title ever since Michael Jackson.
So, yeah, King of Pop. So, who would you call the King of Pop?
Well, that title was once bestowed upon a person who is worthy in every conceivable way to get that title, and that would be Mr. Michael Jackson.
Right. So he is. I mean, just because he's gone, that doesn't mean just like Aretha's gone, but she still maintains her title. So I think he's always going to have it. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who else would take that. I guess it could be probably Bruno Mars at this point, because he's kind of the new Michael Jackson. I'm trying to think. I mean, I think Justin Timberlake had it for a while, but
people occasionally float that in the direction of The Weeknd.
I don't know if The Weeknd's pop. I don't know if he's pop. Maybe.
Yeah, the comparisons have been there. Yeah.
So I guess I need to look that up because I did not know that. So then there's a Princess of R&B. Who do we say the princess of R&B might be?
I should know. Okay. I'm going to take a wild stab and say Rihanna.
Oh, I would have really been impressed if you said Aaliyah, because it's Aaliyah.
Oh.
And I think, she definitely was a princess of R&B before her untimely passing, and I think she just holds on to that. Because I think she was the princess of R&B, and I think it's just going to stay with her. What about the voice of a generation? That's a honorific nickname. The voice of a generation.
Wow. That's a big one. Who could possibly be the voice of a generation? There are legendary, voices and vocalists and everything, but you don't associate them with a generation. I mean, I wouldn't say Frank Sinatra was the voice of a generation, or was he? The voice of a generation. Not Bob Dylan. No.
No, I would quit music if that happened.
She'd become a recluse.
Yes.
And wandering the streets in a bathrobe, I'm lost on this one.
Christina Aguilera, they say, is the voice of a generation, which makes sense. She can literally sing anything. And I do think she changed music. She went from being look at her and Britney. They could not be more different. One actually has this incredible voice, and the other one is somebody who has an okay voice, but could dance a lot and was eye candy. Yeah. Not that Christina wasn't eye candy, because she definitely is beautiful. So that's interesting. What about the king of jazz?
Oh, who just came to mind for some reason? I'm gonna toss the die. I'm gonna roll the bones on Harry Connick Jr.
Louis Armstrong. Is what they say here. Now, that's certainly going to be heavily disputed, but I do think that's an interesting entry. I mean, he was amazing. I don't know if he's the king of jazz, but he certainly was very influential. But I have lots of other people in mind, as you might imagine. But he's definitely an OG. So maybe. Well, what about? But wait, there are more. What about the Queen of Folk?
Oh, the Queen of Folk. I think Joni Mitchell is too eclectic. I think that one is probably going to land on Joan Baez.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Damn, yeah, Joan Baez. I agree. Yeah. Although it probably should have been Joni Mitchell, but she's a little too left of center, which I, of course, love. But Joan Baez is right in the pocket. It makes perfect sense. What about, we know that they call Chuck Berry the king of rock and roll in some circles and the father of rock and roll in some circles. What about the Prince of Pop?
Strangely enough, I'm going to say Prince comes to mind, but I wouldn't exactly call him pop. But Prince of Pop, I don't know why Mr. Timberlake is popping in there. That's a tough one, because I'm thinking, at least in most of the listeners' lifetime, not mine, and then some of these artists go before mine. Louis Armstrong, so I'm going to go with Timberlake. I don't know.
Justin Bieber, which makes sense.
Oh, why didn't I think of the Biebs?
Yeah, a believer. Yeah, I'm not a believer.
I'm not a believer, obviously.
No, I'm not a believer either. So I think that makes sense. I do think that he probably could have passed it to Timberlake at some point, but it never got passed. What about Queen of Experimental Pop?
Oh, well, now we're really getting into where I don't know anything. Queen of Experimental Pop. I'm thinking of like Bjork types. Experimental Pop. Kate Bush. Yeah.
Should have gone with your first gut.
Oh, no.
It was Bjork, which makes perfect sense. She certainly should be the Queen of Experimental Pop.
Sorry.
No, I heard what you said.
You didn't hear when I said it. Definitely isn't Kate Bush.
That is not what you said.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely Bjork, and that makes perfect sense. I wouldn't expect anybody else to have that. Kate Bush is, I don't know. I just don't think she can be experimental once there's a Bjork. She can't be considered experimental.
Well, yeah, it's true.
So I think that she kind of unseated her. The King of Christmas.
Wow. Christmas. Who the hell's the King of Christmas? We know who the Queen of Christmas is, but we don't know who the King is. Wait, who is it? Wow, that's it. Bing Crosby?
Michael Bublé.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
silly
Michael
me.
Bublé. I mean, it probably should have been.
No, yeah.
But yeah, Michael Bublé. And let's see who else we got here.
The queen, of course, would be Mariah Carey. You know.
Queen of Christmas, Mariah Carey. Also, she's also known as the Songbird Supreme.
Yeah, okay.
What about Goddess of Pop?
Oh, the goddess of pop. I'm going to say this one, we've already got Madonna out of the way. I'm assuming there's nobody who's got 2 titles. So this one is probably going to fall on the oh-so-deserving Lady Gaga.
Cher.
Oh, really?
I didn't see that one coming.
No.
It should be Gaga.
Yeah.
It's Cher, and I don't know why. It's not my fault. I'm just telling you, but I disagree.
Yeah,
What
we're
about
just the messengers?
What about King of Soul?
I wonder if they're talking about the GFOS. I'm not so sure.
Sorry.
Let me see. Not the GFOS. Soul, eh?
There's so many.
Al Green.
No,
Yeah.
I would love that. It's Sam Cooke, but I think that's like you could say Otis. You could say so many different people there. So
Yeah.
that's a rough one.
I'm probably a little bit ignorant of some of the deeper aspects of Sam Cooke, but I think of him more as, you know, yeah, it is R&B, but in the rock and roll kind of way of that time, you know. So I didn't think of him as an R&B exactly. But
I don't
it's
see that.
Motown-y. Yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah.
Godfather of shock rock. What do you
Wow.
think that is?
Well,
Now there's new ones. If I think you're thinking Marilyn Manson's a new
Yeah.
one. You could probably also put 9 Inch Nails in those things.
And I doubt there are enough people who would who would think it through enough to say, like, you know, Screaming Jay Hawkins or something like that. So I'm gonna have to say Alice Cooper.
It's Alice Cooper. Yeah, which makes sense. And I think, again, people like, you know, Marilyn Manson, who like actually cut himself on stage and stuff, I think probably took over the shock stuff. But I mean, grandfather, again, he's the godfather of shock rock. So I get that. What about,
the Rob Zombies and the Marilyn Mansons all, you know, have a big thing for him, you know.
this is an interesting one. Queen of power ballads.
Power ballads. Why did Celine Dion just pop into my head?
Yeah, that's correct.
Is that
Celine
right?
Dion. And it makes sense. I mean, she is power ballad goddess. That's just what she does. And she does it perfectly. Just an incredible voice. I wish I had it. I don't. What about the disputed king of rock and roll? Yet another entry for king of rock and roll, Fats Domino. What do you think of that? I think that's interesting. I don't buy that. I'm not with that, but interesting.
Well, yeah, I'd really have to look at the chronology and everything because I imagine Little Richard being more influential for some reason. But I don't know who came out when, you know? Fats Domino. Well, yeah, I mean, he was one of the OG rock and rollers like Little Richard and Chuck Berry, you know?
Yeah.
But,
Interesting.
Yeah.
King of folk.
King of folk.
Come on.
I mean,
give me a break.
you know, but I don't think they could say Woody Guthrie, but for some reason I think they're going to say Bob Dylan.
I would feel better if they said Woody Guthrie, but
they
it's
didn't
Bob
really
Dylan.
slap Bob Dylan
They
with that
did.
name, did they? You know,
They did. Come on, it's
he's
easy.
so much more than that. You know,
I mean, anyway,
I mean,
Queen of Percussion.
Percussion. Let me see. Would that be Sheila E. Perhaps
It's going to be Sheila E. Not that there are no other amazing percussionists, but she's just probably the most famous.
She is the most famous. Whereas you got Cindy Blackman, you know, who's I believe she's Santana's wife now. Amazing percussionist, you know. But yeah, everybody knows Sheila E. though.
What about Godfather of Gangsta Rap?
Why is Biggie Smalls coming to mind?
He should not be coming to mind.
Gangster rap.
He's like the infant of gangster rap.
It depends on who wants to be called gangster rap, who is known as gangster
Oh, no.
rap.
It does not depend. This is straight up firmly in the pocket.
See, the problem with these rappers is I'm not terribly familiar with a lot of their content, and people make them out to be these sages and gurus and these, you know, so I think gangsta would be beneath them, but that could very well be what they're about for all, you know, like Tupac, for example. I mean, it isn't Biggie Smalls, it isn't Tupac.
It's Eazy-E.
I mean, Oh, Easy.
Easy from NWA.
Well, it could
The
easily
OG of gangster rap.
Well, I mean, you could also give it to Ice-T or anybody.
No,
yeah,
you could. He came before. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Easy was
See,
the OG.
that's my ignorance. It was like I'm familiar with Ice-T and stuff like that, but not with NWA that much. Yeah.
What about King of Rap?
King of Rap. I could only hope that title has gone to Eminem.
It has.
Yeah, it
It's
has.
gone
It
to
had to
Eminem.
have.
I love the conviction behind that.
Yeah.
What about just a couple more here, just because it's very interesting to hear what you think. And I'm wondering if you think there are any other contenders for these. When looking at another list, they gave the title of Queen of Pop to Lady Gaga. Rightly so. Rightly so. What about Prince of Motown?
Uh-oh.
This is a tough one. I don't know if I agree with this one because you have so many entries. I mean...
Yeah, don't even say them. I was just going to say, I think I know who it is, but you can still say the names because I already know what I
Go right ahead.
No, say the names.
No, you just say who you think it is, and I'll say the names after.
Smokey, but okay, go ahead. Yeah.
It's not.
It's not.
It's Marvin Gaye.
Oh, darn it. I should have known.
But to me, it should have been Stevie Wonder.
So those were who were the contenders?
I was thinking Stevie Wonder. I was thinking, what you were thinking. I was thinking Smokey Robinson. I mean, I'm thinking of some of the greats. I know that everybody loves Marvin Gaye, but to me, I think it goes to Stevie. I don't know how else I can't think of anyone else that should get it. I get it. He's close, but no cigar for me.
Yeah, for some reason, Stevie seems to transcend that, so I just didn't even think of him. But yeah, you're right. He should be. It's like
I think it should be.
There's a class by himself. But,
Marvin Gaye's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, absolutely amazing. What about the King of Swing? Come on.
King of Swing. I'm going to go with maybe Mr. Goodman. Mr. Benny
Yes,
Goodman.
indeed, Benny Goodman. It could not be anyone else. Couple more here. Just some interesting ones that, I don't know, could get you. Here we have King of the Blues. What do you think of King of the Blues? I feel like there's only one choice.
Yeah, there's only, in terms of what people, the first thing that one comes to mind, and, undeniably, again, I'm not exactly encyclopedic knowledge of the blues, but I'm going to go with Mr. B.B. King.
Indeed, absolutely. Absolutely. What about Queen of Funk?
Funk? Oh, my.
All right. Any guesses, though? I mean, you sound shocked that this is coming up, but who do you believe it is?
Well, because this is one where I've never really heard anybody called that. And, it's just, it doesn't... The others have elicited some kind of right or wrong guess, but this one is like left me totally in the dark. So fill me with loathing and shame and tell me.
Chaka Khan.
Chaka Khan. Let me rock you, Chaka Khan.
Exactly, Chaka. When you think about funk, though, and Queen of Funk, I'm sure other people will come to mind. So hopefully our listeners will share with us who came to their mind. But what about... Oh, there's some very interesting stuff here, I'm telling you. Godmother of Soul.
Godmother of Soul? Not Queen, Godmother. Okay. Well, you know what I'm going to say, and it will fill me with dread, but I'm going to say it anyway, just to try to be right. Wait, no, not Billie Holiday. Forget that. That would be too much. A Godmother of Soul.
Well, Miss Patti LaBelle.
Oh.
That makes perfect sense.
I don't think of her as... but Aretha preceded her. That's the problem, But yeah, Patti LaBelle, great soul singer, but I think
but would you rather be the queen or the godmother? So I think if I were Aretha, I'd want to be the queen, the reigning queen, not the godmother.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know.
Godmother, it sounds like senior, but Okay.
So when I say the killer, who comes to mind?
There's only one killer, and that's Jerry Lee.
That's right,
Lewis,
Jerry Lee Lewis.
See, that's one of those ones that just fit, that was coined for one person.
What about this one? King of the movie soundtrack.
Wow. There are two serious contenders for that one. It's like, is it Phil Collins? Is it Bryan Adams? I'm going to go with, I think I'm giving the edge to Phil Collins on this one.
Or Kenny Loggins.
Oh, Kenny Loggins.
Yeah,
I
didn't think about Kenny.
Well,
good old Kenny.
Yeah, I guess, He's been around. He's got his
Absolutely.
Top Guns, and he's got his Footlooses and all this stuff.
All those.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about the Queen of Rap?
Queen of Rap. You know what? Who immediately springs to mind? I'm not, that big a rap fan and everything. Queen of Rap. Wait. I'm going to go with Nicki Minaj.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
That is what they said.
Yeah.
Very nice. I was worried. I was like, ooh, where are we going? You did it. What about Queen of Alt Rock Angst?
Oh, you know what? Is it freaking Avril Lavigne? I'm thinking. No, let me see. Alt rock angst. Alanis Morissette.
That's correct. I was like, I'm just going to give you a second.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you're going to get this one. Now, again, Queen of Alt Rock Angst could be many people. So just know we're not necessarily agreeing. We're just saying what we see.
Yeah. We're trying to be right, basically.
Godfather of Goth.
Godfather of Goth. Oh, let me see.
I don't know why you have to say it like that, but perhaps you feel that this is a vampire situation.
I don't know. I don't know the actor. Let me see. Godfather of Goth. Who the heck would that be? This is definitely not my area of expertise. I didn't know these things. So I'm going to go with, I don't know.
Peter Murphy.
Now, when you say Peter Murphy, I'm like, oh, yeah. Now, I don't know this type of band very well. But I associate him with, like, it's like early, if it was like influential. Peter Murphy was he in like Bauhaus or something?
He's in Bauhaus, yes, very nice.
I didn't think Peter Murphy was like a name you want to use. You know?
Probably not. No, I mean,
not if you're goth.
Not if you're goth. No, but I mean, it works out. What about
people do use unusual names like Travis fucking Scott? Who would ever think a rapper would use a hillbilly shit kicker name like that?
Wow.
Okay, sorry. Good. Well, it is. It sounds like a country singer.
All right. I'm moving right along. Godfather of Punk.
Godfather of Punk? Well, there could only be one. No, actually, no. Some people might be idiots and say Sid Vicious or something. That's like saying Ozzy Osbourne is the Godfather of heavy metal.
Yeah, which is equally as upsetting.
The Sid Vicious part is even worse.
Even worse.
Even worse. Godfather of Punk, to me, the title deservedly lands upon the noble brow of Iggy Pop.
Yes, that is absolutely what it says on this page.
It says noble brow?
It does not, no.
Does not, okay.
All right, so what about The Boss? Who comes to mind when I say The Boss?
Well, this is one of those ones like The Killers. This is one of those ones that was made for one person and has only been associated. It's not when he retires, there's going to be another boss. The name Boss has always been associated only with Bruce Springsteen.
That is correct. What about America's Sweetheart?
You know what? This is funny. I'm going to go with on America's Sweetheart. Call me crazy. I'm going to go with Debbie Gibson.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay.
Definitely not. What?
Well,
Debbie Gibson?
Yeah, well, back in the day,
It's not back in the day. It's 2025.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're picking people who've been dead for centuries.
Queen of Soul, though, that's a little different. I mean, Debbie Gibson was big in the 80s, as was Tiffany and a million other people. But
okay, Taylor Swift. Gotcha.
Definitely. And she's also just supposedly very sweet in general. What about the Queen of Rock and Roll?
Well, Queen of Rock and Roll, I don't remember growing up in all these years and everything. I don't remember this being a name that stuck with her very much, but it has been used a lot lately. And it certainly might as well be because she was a great rock and roll singer. I'm going to go with Ms. Tina Turner.
That is absolutely correct. And, again, I know people are going to argue who they think that, deserves that nickname, the honorific nickname. But you know what? I'm totally down with that, and I can get behind that. So the last one I'm going to do is one that is just going to make you happy. Who is the king of pop parody?
Who does enough pop parody ever get a name like that? Who has made a career out of pop parody all these years? 35 at least, and might have been a slight influence on me. Yeah. That would be Mr. Yankovic, Mr. Weird Al Yankovic.
That is absolutely correct. So anyway, I thought that would be kind of fun, right? Who would you guess? Did you agree? Did you not agree? And I looked at a few different sources, and obviously there are some differences in what people decide for these different honorific nicknames. And some are only for those specific people, right? Which makes sense. So I just thought it was kind of fun. And you actually got most of them correct. And even the ones that you didn't get correct, and I'm putting those in air quotes, you actually were circling around the right idea. So very, very cool.
Yes, and unfortunately, getting the answers right meant knowing how many people were wrong,
Shit.
I mean, seriously, it's like Godfather of Heavy Metal. Okay, as much as he would not accept the title himself, people in the know might say Tony Iommi, you know. But we'll say no more about that. We've expressed our controversial hot takes already.
Of course, yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, another episode of Winging It is in the proverbial can. So when we go out, how do we go out?
We say, let's fly this coop.
This has been Winging It, a presentation of Birds of a Feather, on What the Flock Radio.